It's not just talk.
It's real people
Real stories.
and real success. Drive home with your host, Laura Parrish, live from Real Success Radio.
Good afternoon. Hey, it's not just talk. It's real people, real stories, and real success. Thanks for driving home with me today. Our goal here on Real Success, it's always to inform you, inspire you, and motivate you to create your own personal and professional success. Each week, we're presented by Community Southern Bank. Love Community Southern Bank, South Florida Avenue, Broadway in Bartow, and you can find them in Winter Haven near Legoland. Their newest and most fantastic invention yet is mobile banking. You can download that Community Southern Bank app. You can do everything, well, almost everything, probably 98% of everything that you need to do for your banking business, you can do right there on the mobile app. And again, if you just need that face-to-face love that Community Southern gives you, walk in, meet with your teller. They know you by name. Again, that's Bartow, Lakeland, and Winter Haven. Today, we are moving forward with Success in Your Own Backyard, one of my favorite shows that you will hear at the end of each month with Real Success Radio. I'm joined today with Vice President of Communications, Amy Wiggins from the Lakeland Chamber, who only on Real Success Radio will we reveal to you the Lakeland Chamber Small Business Award winner of the month. Amy, thanks for joining us and bringing us an amazing guest today.
Laura, thank you for having us. You know, this is one of my favorite things to do, like, on the planet, not just as a part of my job, because I get to meet so many amazing business owners day in and day out, and it's just phenomenal to be able to recognize them and give them just a little added pat on the back and really raise them up for the other business owners in the community to say, they're doing something right. Let's pay attention to them and see if we can learn something. And so you offering that platform to get that information out and share a little bit of their secrets to success is always phenomenal for me, because I learned something, and it's so great to hear your successful minute at the end and kind of capture everything all in one. But that,
thank you.
Everybody knows how wonderful you are. So we won't spend too much time there because we have such an amazing guest today.
We do.
John Peters with Stanley Steemer is here. I know, woo woo. I wish we had an applause button. But John is just an amazing business owner, and if folks read your email today, they know that they are in for an amazing treat. John has a phenomenal story, and he is such a real person, and he's a perfect guest for Real Success Radio because of that.
Well, welcome, John Peters, to Real Success Radio.
Well, thank you again for having me, and I want to thank God for the opportunity. And we work hard every single day to deliver great service to our customers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And thank you for inviting us in.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I have to tell you, we're about to present you with a story like none other. And again, like Amy said, if you didn't get the Real Success Radio flyer, make sure that you like us on Facebook. You'll get it there. You can also subscribe to a flyer that we send out. You can send us an email at talk@realsuccessradio. We'll make sure that we add you there. And I have to tell you, it takes a lot to surprise me. You know, 20 years in radio, and I've done hundreds of interviews, but I have to tell you, before we actually get to the studio, we do a pre-show interview. The pre-show interview that I had with John Peters, representing Stanley Steemer, changed my life. And it's incredible for me to even be able to tell you how 30 minutes on the phone can really make a difference if you listen. So today we have a show for you that we are going to talk about business. We're going to talk about taking pride in doing a job well done, doing it right the first time, and a commitment. But what you're going to hear today is more than just words. It's a way of life, and John Peters is going to share that with us today. So John, you and your team at Stanley Steemer here in Lakeland, Florida have earned an award, and it's the Lakeland Chamber Small Business of the Month Award. You were voted on by your peers as the best of the best in business in Lakeland for the month. There are over 4,000 businesses in Lakeland, and it was an award that you probably didn't set out to receive, but nonetheless, because what you do on a daily basis, people have said, John Peters at Stanley Steamers. It's him and his team that are amazing. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about earning that award, but then about the team that delivers such exceptional service.
Well, we're very honored and we're thankful. We work hard every single day. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say we're perfect, because we're not. But when we come out, we want to make sure that every home is done correctly, and every customer's got a smile on their face. And if you're not happy, I'm not happy, and I can be a grumpy bear if you're not happy. So what we do is it starts with me. If I don't care as the owner and franchise owner of Stanley Steemer, then I can tell you right now, nobody will care. And I'm there every single day from the morning. At the end of the night, we're there 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. My wife and I, who is the brains of the operation, and she truly is, who I love with all my heart. And we wouldn't be anywhere as successful without the two of us, because her weaknesses are my strengths are her weaknesses, and together we're unstoppable. And again, I want to also thank my wife, who has been there for me 100%. The second time around is the perfect love, and I'm forever grateful for that.
No, that's fantastic. Note to self again, check. Now let's talk about the point of differentiation between you and possibly competitors that you have in the same industry. And I know that part of real success in being successful, we have a little humble bone in us, but there is a difference. There is a difference with you, and there's a difference with your team and the Stanley Steemer of Lakeland. What would you attribute that point of differentiation to, and what is it?
It's a multitude of things. It's not, you can't put one thing on it. It's, our brand new trucks. It's our people. It's the service. It's the caring. Our technicians that go into the home, they care. They genuinely care that you are happy when we leave. And again, that starts with me. If when that call comes in, I got to set the expectations. We're going to come in, we're going to do this, and this is the way it's going to be. Then they have to deliver that expectation. And the people that we've had are phenomenal. This is a turnaround industry where, it's hot, it's very physical. The employees only last, they get burned out after a year or two. I've been very fortunate. I've had people been with me 10 years, 5 years. So the turnover is very minimal for us.
Well, we're going to get into more of that when we come back, because there is a special recipe between you and your team that deliver this service that we have grown to love and admire here in Lakeland. Taking us out, it's B&L Tire. Hey, if it's black, round, and it holds air, that's B&L Tire. Make sure your summer memories are getting you where you need to be, not stranded on the side of the road with a flat tire. Go visit my friend Chris over at B&L Tire. You can find him on US 98. That's bltires.com. We'll be right back. There's a right way to do business all the time with John Peters and Stanley Steemer. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura, and thanks for spending your afternoon with us. Presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Taking us into our second quarter, it's Headley Insurance, and you need all of that life and auto and boat and motorcycle, and the list is so long. Why would you try yourself to put all of that together? You don't have to. You can go to Headley Insurance. You can talk to Scott Headley, personal friend of mine, carries all of the insurance I need for me and my family. That's headleyinsurance.net. Go take a look at their team. All right, we are headed into our second quarter, and we are with John Peters with Stanley Steemer here in Lakeland, Florida. We're joined by Amy Wiggins, who is the Vice President of Communications from the Lakeland Chamber, and she has bestowed upon us a secret. Only on Real Success Radio. I can't really say that because, Amy, you also publish the small Chamber Award winner in People and Changes, I think, don't you?
We do.
So
we do. But John isn't in People and Changes himself, sharing his amazing story and broad wealth of successful information. So you have the exclusive on that.
I love it. We have the exclusive story of John Peters with Stanley Steemer. And I have to tell you, throughout the rest of this show, you are going to do a lot of self-reflection, a lot of self-check. And if you really want to become a better leader, a better person, a better friend, this is the show that you want to listen to. This show today will captivate you on the right way to do business, but it will absolutely take you by your ankles, turn you upside down, and shake all the bad out of you, and you just want to fill yourself right back up with good. John Peters, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story.
Thank you again. I appreciate being here, and I'm excited if I can help one person or two people or 100 people be successful, or just pick up one thing, that would be an honor.
That's beautiful. They say that success leaves clues, and people who are in a position where they have tasted success, and it doesn't always mean monetarily, it's success in life, it's success with peace and joy and happiness and true friendships. All of that goes into the cake recipe for success. They love to help other people become successful too. It's a selfless trait that
Yes.
those who are successful have.
Very much so. You can't be successful unless you pass it along and pass it forward. And that's something that I've always tried to do, whether my employees, they call me dad because I can be, the good dad, or I can be the other dad. And the thing is, they all respect me because I tell them the way it is, and I care about them. I want to see them successful. And I see some of these young guys that come in, and they're naive, and I have to obviously teach them how to clean carpet. But next to that, I try to give them a life lesson where they come, and a couple of my guys that work for me started out one guy in particular, he was like 140 pounds and very thin and 6 foot something, and he's worked hard, and he's been there every day, and he bought a home, which I encouraged him to do while the interest rates were low, and he got married, he has children, and he's living life. So these are things that we try to do, and of course I have many stories of people that work for us that we encourage to move the right way. I have a guy that worked for me since 94, and this guy was a diamond in the rough. He was so far from being polished, and I worked with him, and he kept telling me, he said, John, he said, I want to get a little, I want to be a little bit more than a carpet cleaner. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So we worked, and actually I bought a franchise in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and I gave him the opportunity to go there and be the manager, and he did a phenomenal job. And past couple years, he said, I've been managing. He made great money, and for what he was doing, he did phenomenal money, and he wanted a little bit more. And I said, well, Gary, I said, we can get you I can work it with Stanley Steemer where you can get a franchise. And he now owns Joplin, Missouri, and his first month out, he goes from zero to $18,000 in a month. So those are things to me that he's given me loyalty. He's worked for me. He's sweated. He's lived and died. I tell him to go through a brick wall. He goes through a brick wall, and here's your reward. So not everybody has that makeup that they want to do that. Some people are looking for a job to have stability for their family, and that's great too, because that person is a pillar in the community. That's the guy or girl that comes in, and they do what's right. They buy a home. They have a family, and we have many stories.
Well, let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's go to the John Peters before Stanley Steemer, because everyone in town knows you as the Stanley Steemer guy. But certainly, as you were coming up in life, Stanley Steemer maybe wasn't your career choice at that time. I'm sure there are other things that you did in that process that brought you to the start in this industry. Who was John, the young John, just setting out to tackle the world?
Well, my dad had many children. He supported all of them. He sent them to college, sent them to private schools, one of my brothers, was general manager at a car dealership. And he was very good. He was very successful. And my dad always said, he said, you know what, whatever you do, you know, he says, I'm not telling you which way to go, whether it's real estate. He was in the real estate business. He said, whatever you do, be the best at it. He said, and make sure that you love what you're doing, because even if you are the best at it and you love it, you're not giving 100%. I was fortunate enough to get fired from many car dealerships because I was the guy in the back meeting them out there in the parking lot, and they had a turn, they called it a turn system where it's my turn to talk to the customer and this one talked to them. And I was out there grabbing them, and sometimes I didn't sell them, and they would get mad at me, and I got fired, and I went to another dealership and I got fired again. And I was out of work. My wife left me, which was an issue that her and I had. We were two different people. And I always say, if you're not made for each other, excuse me one second, don't be together, because you want to have similar thoughts, similar people, and we were two different people. We should have never been married. But I found the right one now, and it's a blessing every day that I wake up, and I'm thankful and grateful to God for guiding me, you know, through those hard times. But
so you got fired.
I got fired.
Your wife walked out the door.
Wife walked out the door. I got
That's a bad
$2
day.
to my name.
$2.
There's snow on the ground. There's no food in the house. I'm knocking on my neighbor's door. Okay, can you please give me a couple dollars for milk? He says, here's some milk. And I'm calling my mother. Can you please help me, please? You know. And my mother's like, well, when's this going to stop? You know, give me $20 here, $20 there, $20 here, and it was basically for living expenses. The guy that I was renting the house from, he says to me, he says, listen, he says, I know your situation. Wait till you get on your feet. And this was a guy that was my landlord. He says, don't worry about paying the rent. He said, just when you get on your feet, you pay me back.
That's awesome.
And I was, you know, thank God that happened, because I don't know where I would live. And again, God stepped in and took care of me. So anyway, I found Stanley Steemer, and I said, well, you know, I'll do this for a little bit. I'll pay the bills, and you know, once the summertime comes, I'll go back to selling cars. Well, the summertime came, and the guy comes, and they turned my gas off, and I didn't pay the bill, so I had it coming. So the thing was, the guy laughed at me, and that, I was just like, you shouldn't have, that was just too much. And I said to myself, you know what, if I have to work 100 hours a week, I don't care what I have to do, that'll never happen again. And I put all my efforts into Stanley Steemer, and I said, you know what, I could make a go of this. And I worked my way up from an assistant to a crew chief, and actually had the opportunity to become a manager at Stanley Steemer in Ohio.
So you think you've got everything under control, and then life throws you a curveball. You know, and there are moments in all of our lives that define us at that very moment, and you have a choice. Am I going to let the world eat me up, or am I going to push through? And that's what John Peters did with Stanley Steemer, and he's sharing his story with us today. All of us are going to have moments like that in our life. So as we continue on through this interview, you will have the tips to success that you need to make changes in your life. Taking us out, Triple R Sales and Service, one-stop lawn equipment shop located in Mulberry, weed eaters, blowers, edgers, and South Lakeland's only trailer dealer with unbeatable prices. Check them out. That's Triple R Sales and Service, triple-r-salesandservice.com. We'll be right back with more of John Peters and Stanley Steemer story. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the third quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura, and thanks for spending your afternoon with me and John Peters from Stanley Steemer. We're glad to have you with us. We're presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Taking us into our third quarter, that's Anytime Fitness South Lakeland. They keep all of us here at Real Success fit and trim. We love their 24-hour, anytime you need them to be there, they're there, regardless of what your schedule is. And my favorite thing, being a female, going in super, super early, because that's the only time that I have, full full-time, 24-hour security keeps you safe and protected. Love Anytime Fitness South Lakeland, and you're going to love it too, because if you walk in and you say, hey, Laura from Real Success Radio sent me, they're going to let you train there for 1 full month free. All right, headed into our third quarter, this is a day of celebration. This is a day of discovery. This is a day of change. And this day is brought to you by John Peters with Stanley Steemer here in Lakeland, who he and his team have earned the Lakeland Chamber Small Business of the Month Award. Now, how did he earn that? You guys voted for him. You said, hey, John Peters, you and your team at Stanley Steemer, you guys are the best of the best in Lakeland. And he is joining us today sharing his story in business success, but also personal success. And if you've missed any of our show, you can always go back to WLKF.com, click on Real Success. You can find our show here today and listen to it again in its entirety. And what you'll discover in the first 2 quarters that we've discussed is how honored he and his team are to have earned this award. But also, we took John way back to where was he before Stanley Steemer? And what you'll have discovered is that John took a defining moment of what at that moment may have felt like failure and struggle and challenge, and he turned that into a motivational tool to not only create a better life for himself, but for his team members today that he works with as Stanley Steemer, because we're learning a true leader, they just make more leaders. So, John, thanks again for being with us today, and congratulations on your award.
Thank you. We are, again, I'm blown away, and it's like a kid in a candy store. I love when people come up to me and they say, hey, you guys did a great job. I used my little girl on our ads.
Oh yeah, we all know those.
And I was in a store one time, and I go in there, and I mean, I've seen ads in the paper too, and I'm like, you would never put one and one together, but here this lady says, you're Stanley Steemer, right? I said, yeah. She says, that's the girl in the paper all the time. And Kayla's looking at her like, what did I do? So she says, I have to tell you, your team, your company, you're good Christian people, you're genuine, and you know we just love Stanley Steemer. And I'll tell you, I was moved by that, because that's what we try to achieve every single home. We really do. And when someone says something like that to me, I was just, wow. And my little girl didn't understand the magnitude of what that woman just told me, but I was so honored, and I was like, I felt like just bowing down, kissing her feet.
Such gratitude. Thank you for acknowledging that, right? Because
that's what we work for. We're not just there to clean carpets. We want to create an experience, and we do most of the time.
Well, just knowing you, it's very evident that you have a servant heart, and you don't find a lot of people like that. You have a philosophy and a mission, no shortcuts. You try to do the right thing all the time, regardless. Why is that so important to you, and why should it be more important to us to have that same attitude?
Well, that's the way God designed it. And if you're ever going to be successful at anything, no matter what it is, number one, your integrity is everything. I mean, it's not bought, it's not sold, it's earned, and you either have it or you don't. And when you say something, you mean it, and you can't. I can't explain the integrity portion of what we do. I mean, having people allow us to come into their homes who they don't know who we're sending, but I can tell you the people that we're sending are people that are honest, hardworking, and want to do good by you.
Well, your environment has to be very guarded, at least from my own personal life journey. Is I'm kind of a chameleon. I mean, I'm sure of who I am. I'm firm in my foundations, but I find myself being vulnerable to my environment. You create an environment in your company. You've shared with us already, it starts with me. I set the pace and the tone in my company. How do you stay so positive and so motivating Do you guard your environment carefully? Are you careful about those that you allow to be in your personal space?
Well, everybody in our that works with Stanley Steemer, I mean, I don't look at them as employees. I look at them as family, and I try to guide them as individuals, what to do and what not to do. And you have children, and you try to get them to do this, and you try to get them to do that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the people that we have are phenomenal people, and I've been in Tampa, I've been in Lexington, I've been many places, and we've got exceptional people. We really do.
So regret, that's a word that you and I tossed around before the show. You shared with me your thoughts on regret. And regret in our lives, it can actually be paralyzing. It can keep us where we are, it can keep us in the past, and it prohibits us from moving forward. But you have a strategy about avoiding regret. And certainly that has to go along with doing the right thing all the time. Why are you so adamant about not living or experiencing regret?
I live my life. I do what's right. Sometimes things happen, and you're speeding when you shouldn't be speeding. But as far as living my life, I live my life the way God would want me to live it, and I don't look back, and I have no regrets. I do what's right, and that is the outcome, whatever that is, and I accept that. There's things that I use to motivate me. It's difficult. Since 1992, I've missed one day of work, going through sicknesses, going through family issues, going through all kinds of things. I show up every single day, and is what motivates me. Is I refuse to let my past, come back. That's, I'm not going to have somebody shut my gas off. I'm not going to not pay the rent. I'm going to do what's right, and that's the outcome. And I live with that, and I'm okay with that.
There's a cliche that says, why is the windshield bigger than the rearview mirror? Because you should be spending more time looking forward than you are looking backward.
Yes.
So
I remember my past. I'm emotional about some of the things that are in, the hardships that I have, but I utilize them as motivation. Give you just a quick thing. I went to when I was getting divorced, and I went to go get a Ford Escort, $7,000 car, and the guy says to me, it's $150 or $200 a month, and he says, do you have a cosigner? I said, no. He says, well, thank you, and there's the door. And out the door I went. And I remembered that. And today, if you see our brand new shiny vans out there, we have these vans. Ford Motor Credit's given us $1 million line of credit. So,
do you have a cosigner for that? No. Don't need it anymore.
So, it's just things have changed.
Yeah.
You do what's right, and your outcome is bright.
I love it. Certainly words for us to take to heart and change our course and our path if we're finding ourselves stuck in a situation, maybe stuck in the past. It's time to move forward. Words of wisdom from John Peter. Stanley Steemer today, our interview, taking us out. It's Pilka and Associates for confidential and legal counsel. That's the team over at Pilka and Associates. You can find them on Kentucky Avenue in Lakeland. You can also find them on Providence Road in Brandon. That's pilkaandassociates.com, PILKA.com. We'll be right back. It's time for the Successful Minute. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the fourth quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura, and thanks for spending your afternoon with me. We are presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Taking us into our fourth quarter, that's Stewart Auto Repair. The next time you're in a fender bender, and if you've seen traffic lately, it can happen at any minute, make sure you tell that tow truck driver, take me to Stewart Auto Repair, 42nd Street in Winter Haven. That's where I take my car, and trust me, they put it all back together just like the day I bought it off the showroom floor. But you know what I love best is I'm their customer. They fight for me, not the insurance company. Every part that was put back on my vehicle, brand new. Love it. That's Stewart Auto Repair. Check them out, stewartautorepair.com. Headed into our final quarter, this is where we get really excited because this is the moment where we try to draw the most impactful moments of the show and leave you with those success tips that you can put into action into your life today. So tomorrow when you wake up, you're on a different path, a course towards success. Somewhere you can capture that quality of life that you've been looking for. And today it's John Peters with Stanley Steemer in Lakeland that is sharing with you, hey, life hasn't always been fantastic. It's been tough. And you can let those tough moments break you or make you. We have learned in today's show there were moments in John's life that were just simply emotionally moving in a negative way. What John did was say, hey, I am never going to let this moment happen again in my life. I'm going to do everything that I have to do to make sure it doesn't happen. And he shared with us several platforms and stepping stones on the course to changing your life from the moments of trouble to the moments of success. So, John, as we continue the final moments of our interview today, we have listeners that see you as a stellar company in Lakeland with an amazing reputation, a heart for others, a servant heart that you put everything that you have into taking care of other people, whether it be your employees, which we call your team. I know you don't view them as employees, your extended family. You put everything into your own family as a husband and a father. And then you carry it out into the homes of our community. If there was one success tip that you could share with all of us, how do we overcome challenges and obstacles in our life? Is there anything that we can prepare for? What would you tell us?
Well, first of all, I mean, there's many things that can make or break you. Again, everything I go back to is you got to live right. You can't do things that are shortcuts, because there are no shortcuts in life. You know, I hear people, oh, you know, you want to buy some houses, there's quick money in this, and you know, what about this? And there's, I don't know all these other things. I know carpet cleaning, and that's the only thing I know, and I'm great at it. And whatever you do, if you can find one thing, I don't care if it's shining shoes or washing cars or what it is, if you can master that, then you can control your own destiny. And once you do that, if you take a step back and you say, you know what, this was my destiny, this is not I mean, I've worked for it, but it's also my destiny. Let me help somebody else. The one thing that I always try to do is I remember that those hard moments when I only had $2 and there's snow on the ground, you know, and I try to put myself in someone else's shoes, and I want to help, and I've done that many times, and I don't, you know, tell everybody what I've done or the things that I've done, but I've done it with a pure heart, and if you can, you know, get yourself in a position, whether it's a small thing, you know, helping some elderly person who maybe needs help with their groceries or something you can do to make their day, that goes a long way. You don't realize how much you've helped that individual that has that difficulty.
Absolutely. We're going to take this moment, turn it into our Successful Minute moment. Our Successful Minute sponsor is McEnany Roofing, the state of Florida's #1 commercial roofer. If you are in business and you're like, hey, I've got a serious roof issue, it's McEnany Roofing. One thing that we have found on Real Success, they are the true definition of doing it right the first time, staying on time and under budget for you, giving you their best. That's McEnanyRoofing.com. So, John, I have one final moment for you before we end our interview here on Real Success. I'm not. I'm actually probably going to get you fired up.
Okay.
We have a generation today that's coming up that's saying, I want this now. I can't wait. And when it doesn't happen quickly, they're literally sucked into this black hole of what they feel is failure. Advice to our young generation that is just starting out. Should they expect everything to be perfect right now, just the way it's supposed to be?
No, absolutely no way. And anything that is worth anything to you, whether it's personally, whether it's business wise, there are no shortcuts. It's hard work. And where I'm at today, it didn't happen overnight. It's 25 years of showing up every single day. It's 25 years of doing what's right. And the harder you work, the luckier you become. And I had a little saying I used to say, in fact I still do, you can outthink me, but you can't outwork me. And somebody says, well, gee, that was a famous coach from Ohio State used to say that. I was like, I never heard that, but that was my thinking too. So again, there are no shortcuts. You do what's right, you live right, you treat people the way you want to be treated, and it is what it is. And you don't have to look back over your shoulder. Did I do something wrong? You don't have to worry about that. You look forward, and you're happy, and be thankful and grateful for your successes, because sometimes they're not there.
Words of wisdom from John Peter, Stanley Steemer of Lakeland. Certainly no secret to us his amazing ability to transform the inside of our home. Carpet cleaning is what he does. But you know what? He does it better than anybody else. He gives 110%. He makes sure his team does too. And he does not leave you unsatisfied. That's the story of John Peters and Stanley Steemer, Lakeland Chamber Small Business of the Award winner for this month. Congratulations again, John, to you, your team, your wife, who is your backbone, keeping you in line. I love it. What a great story. I trust that we have all grown from this message. And again, if you've missed any of it, check it out, WLKF.com. Click on Real Success, and you can listen to John's story again. There are some very special people that I need to thank because they keep Real Success Radio on the air for us 52 weeks out of the year. That's Community Southern Bank, Headley Insurance, Anytime Fitness South Lakeland, Stewart Auto Repair, B&L Tire, Triple R Sales and Service, Pilkin Associates, and McEnany Roofing. Hey, it's not just talk. It's real people, real stories, and real success. Until next week, keep it real.